What is a ransomware attack? Well, as the name says it, it's a type of malware that infects a computer and encrypts all the files, or some of the files of an operating system. This way, nobody has access to them. Now, once the files are completely encrypted, they demand a payment, and this is why it's called a ransomware. They demand some sort of payment from the user in order to unlock all their files. As you can see on the slide, I have included a very important figure, which is the 2.3 million losses in 2017. This was reported by the FBI, the Bureau of Cybercriminal Investigations. With this being said, let's talk a little bit more about the history and the background of ransomware attacks. At the very beginning, the first attack was recorded as an AIDS Trojan PS cyber. It targeted the healthcare and the hospital communities. It was spread in 1989 during the World Health Organization International AIDS Conference. It was developed by Joseph L. Popp, which is a PhD from Harvard. He was able to spread this virus using 20,000 floppy disks that he delivered to everybody attending this conference. The way he used it for payment was once the user was able to install the floppy disk and execute the file in it, it will encrypt the files and uses snail mail as a payment method. This was an old software used for anonymous emails. The total ransom demanded for this program was $189. As a second very important ransomware that we have through history is the Archivist Trojan, first seen in 2006. This program encrypted the files using an RSA encryption method. And this RSA encryption method was an asymmetrical encryption option that we still use nowadays. It's asymmetrical because it requires two main keys, one public and one private. And only by having the right keys, a file is able to be either encrypted or decrypted. This file was intelligent and it was autonomous. It was able to only target the important files on the entire operating system. On the slide, we see that it targets files such as My Documents. A lot of companies use the My Documents folder to store very private and very crucial information. And once this was encrypted, the ransom also demanded the user to make certain payments. It was very interesting the way this ransomware worked, because in order to be able to pay to decrypt your files, you have to go into certain websites and then purchase certain items for yourself, and nothing will be delivered. This way, the user will be autonomous. The attacker will be anonymous, and nobody will be able to track the purchases that you made. To conclude, we have what is going on from 2009 and so forth. What are the variations and how has the Bitcoin technology affected the ransomware attacks? Well, Bitcoin is an anonymous and decentralized method of payment, and this is something that attackers really like because a lot of their attacks cannot be traced. Once a file of our operating system is encrypted, they can then prompt to the user a Bitcoin wallet. They can prompt instructions on how to purchase Bitcoin and then translate money into their own wallets. This way, the attack cannot be traced and the hacker will not face any consequences. Something that is also very important to acknowledge is that nowadays encryption is not being used that much because there's not really need for it. Nowadays, the malware is camouflaged as an antivirus, and it will prompt to the users several messages, annoying messages, something that will say, your Windows is not authenticated, you need to call this number and purchase a valid Windows key. This is outrageous because people that are not really tech savvy or have not a lot of experience with computers, they will be scared by these kind of messages and they will call numbers that scammers provide and then provide full information for payment. Thank you very much, and my teammates will be talking to you more in depth about ransomware attacks.
In the next part, we study three important ransomware attacks. The first one, the name is CryptoLocker. The creator, according to the FBI, Evgeny Mikhailovich, is the alleged creator of this attack. The FBI offers a reward of $3 million for information regarding this criminal. The target, old version of Windows. The infection method have the following steps. First one, the victim will receive an email from FedEx or UPS that will have an attachment with an execution file, camouflaged as a PDF. The second step, the victim opens the file and it will start the code inside to infect their files. 3. The code will eliminate shadow copies of the files. For 4. The infection will attempt to alive CNC, that stands for Command and Control, through the domain algorithm, which will provide an encrypted key. This key will be stored in the CNC server. 5. Step. After getting the encryption key, the code will begin to make a comparison with a predetermined list to encrypt all the files found on the victim's computer. Examples of these files are Words and Excel. 5. Once the files are encrypted, a pop-up window will appear asking for a payment that will send in a certain time, like the next image. After the payment, it will begin the decryption of the file in about 4 hours. The other thing is the file recovery. It is possible that when paying, all the files are not recovered, since some will produce errors when unblocked. We have 2 preventive solutions for this issue. The first one is performing a restriction policies to programs according to the paths that the executable files may have. And the other solution is to download CryptoPrevent. The second attack is the GSO. The creator is unknown. The first discovery was in April 2016. The target is all the Windows versions. The infection method have the following steps. The first, it is possible that the infection is obtained by downloading crypto mining, pirate programs, or visiting pornographic sites. The executable files are Firefox and drpbx.x. The second step, using an ANS algorithm, will begin the search of files like extensions of MP3. The third step, the malicious code will create a copy of all the files and translate them in extensions like fun. It will also create a Bitcoin address that will eliminate the original. 4. If a payment is not made in the first 60 minutes, a file will be deleted randomly. After the first hour, the number of files deleted will increase for every 60 minutes that pass, thus getting 7 2 hours. All the files are eliminated from all the system. The 5th step, it has an auto-run feature, so if the computer is restarted, 1,000 files will be deleted and will return to the pop-up screen. The following step is the payment. If the payment is made, it will verify that was sent to that Bitcoin address that is created in the second step. So the files will be decrypted. The other thing we need to know is the solution for this ransomware. The solution is the program can be paused from its file, the encryption operation, if the executable file Firefox.x or drpbx.x is deleted. And the second is to use a program that decrypt all the files. That program is GSO decrypted.x. We already see the ransomware attacks that targets Windows, but for this time we have the following attack that targets Macintosh. The name is QRanger. The creator was unknown, and the first apparition of this ransomware was in March 2016. And the target was Mac OS X. The infection method have the following steps. First one, the web page transmissionbt.com was infected with a Trojan horse in the form of transmission 2.90 with Mac App Development Certificate to pass the protection of Mac. The users who innocently downloaded this file took the surprise that their files were encrypted. With the help of general.rtf, file the infection started as a command and control. The command and control server will grant you the encrypted data to return the files until a payment is made. The server retains the key and encrypts the victim's file, having a list of 300 extensions to match up. A pop-up screen like this will appear. The solution was easy. Apple revoked the certificate in the transmission website, and the following was their announcement. When a computer is infected with this malware, several questions arise. It is possible to record my information. If I pay the ransom for my files, will I record them? Who do I go to in case of infection? Although there are solutions for this infection, the most important thing is not to pay for the rescue of information, as this contributes to the business of cyber criminals who can also increase the payment figures or even attack the victim again. The technical skills that are enabled by this type of malware are: the first one, pause any program that is taking place at the time of infection. Second, encrypt the files in such a way that they cannot be accessed. 3. The possibility of using an internet page is eliminated if the amount is not paid. There are preventable tools such as the following. We can also report any case of cyber attack in the FBI Internet Crime Compliance Center in the following page.
Hello, my name is Volo Perez, and I'll be presenting protection from this type of malware. Before I get started, I would like to talk about the evolution of the internet. It has been growing exponentially, which will lead for easy access for the users to gain access to knowledge and wisdom. So what are the pros and cons? Well, the pros is that everyday user will have access. The cons is that cyber criminals will have access as well. Today, ransomware is one of the greatest cyber threats, and it is important to know how to protect yourself from these attacks. To get started, we're going to talk about protection locally on the computer. Do not store important information, data on your computer, for example, bank statements, government information, and pictures. Simply use a USB or storage device to back up all the information just in case if ransom gets held. Make sure that your operating system is updated. Most of the times, systems are updated automatically. Something I will suggest once in a while to update manually, because there might be some updates that must be done manually. Also, now with the demand of cloud storage, it is very important not to leave the cloud storage turned on by default. Also, another advice would be, if you see a random USB, you're not sure about its origin, don't even mess around with it. You don't know where it's gone through, where it's been through, and what has caused to other people on their system. The second protection will be on the web browser. Basically, remove any plugins from your browsers, for example, Adobe Flash, Adobe Reader, and Java. They're really notorious for being exploited by cyber attacks. Adjust the security settings on the browser too. Google Chrome is a great example. They have a privacy setting that protects your device from dangerous sites. Majority of the browsers are set by default, and us users, we just depend on the default. I do suggest take your time, go through the settings. You never know what you could find helpful to protect yourself from these attacks. Another recommendation would be adding the ad blocker to avoid any threat of malicious popping ads from your computer. Now for the online behavior. Spam is everywhere. It is annoying, and it's very important never to open them, especially emails from unknown sources. This is the most common strategy. It's most used for spreading ransomware, and this is easy for a victim, especially that they're not tech savvy. One should never download the attachments from these spam virus. These are ideal ways that hackers, gets to encrypt a victim's computer. Last but not least is the anti-ransomware security tools. One should have reliable antivirus product downloaded onto one's computer that automatically updates, provides real-time scanning. Although there's free antivirus, those will not likely not have the same protection as a paid version. Also very important to have the firewall on. Although it is a very old technology, it is still used today for extremely effective in blocking out unwanted traffic from outside the device. So here are some advice that might help, people not to get attacked from ransomware, and hopefully this will be helpful.
Ransomware could be spread by 3 different methods. This includes social engineering, spam, and malvertising. Social engineering uses spear phishing, which is a technique that cyber criminals carry out to include the infection in attachments, which usually come along either files, emails, or company logos. Another type of way in which it could be spread is through the use of spam, which is the use of emails that aren't commonly supported by commercial sites and constantly gets sent to the user. And the last one is malvertising, which is seeing ads on a web page that it seems harmless, but in the end, when you click on it, it could bring an infection to you. Overall, thanks to all the knowledge that we put into researching the malware known as ransomware, we were able to provide the proper information and ways to prevent this ransomware from occurring to both the reader and us. We defined how ransomware is a malware which prevents users from accessing their own files by demanding a payment in order to restore their access. The document also described popular forms of ransomware such as CryptoLocker, Jigsaw, and KeyRanger. And it also provided how to recover from these malicious attacks. The paper touched upon all the different ways in which it could spread and cause certain consequences if not dealt with quickly. The protection from this type of malware attack includes the following of not storing bank statements, government information, and pictures on your own computer. Another method to prevent this attack is by removing plugins and adjusting the browser settings, security settings, and avoiding emails that are obviously spam due to it being most method used for spreading ransomware. Hopefully all this information listed in our presentation was able to be helpful for you, the viewer, because ransomware is a malware attack, which is a type of attack that everyone should be well to know of. Thank you and have a good day.